Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the one-hand mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we are working on a Craftsman T110, and as you can see, the mower deck is already off. And what I'm going to do today is show you how to replace the blade engagement bracket. And as you can see right here, this actually broke through. If you look at your blade engagement, this is your cable for your blade engagement. I'm actually going to be doing a video on this one also. The reason why we're replacing this is because it got so worn right here from rubbing this right here, and it actually rubbed through the metal. Now yes, a lot of you guys out there that are mechanically inclined, you can weld that up. Also, this right here has worn out, so we're going to need to replace this cable too. You can't just replace the spring. But today's video is how to replace this whole bracket. I did some research. I want to replace this bracket here. I want to replace this. This is a collar washer, and if you can see how much, actually we'll take this spring off here first and I'll show you how much plays in here. But I found a kit. I found it online. I'll put the kit in a link in the description below. And it pretty much gives you the brake. Now you can see right here that the brake has worn in. Now I have not seen one of these that actually don't wear in like that, and I'll open it up so you can see how worn it gets right here. This spring right here, I think it's just a little over tensioned, and one of my comments actually said that they're going to stretch this spring a little bit, and I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to stretch this spring. But going back to the parts that came with this kit, this is a new brake, okay, which is good. It also comes with a shoulder washer. That is important so your arm doesn't shake a lot. This is right here, which is good. Okay, so that's going to be that guy right there. And then the bracket itself, and like I said, I'll put a link in the description below. This is a bracket that will fit, I think, both the 46 and 42 inch, and that's why this is actually going to be like this, okay? And it says right here on the old one, now the new bracket doesn't show the 42 or 46 in each hole, so you have to use the old bracket to show you where it goes. This hole here was made for the 46, and this new bracket also has it. So we're doing a 42 inch deck today. The reason why this happened was there's many different reasons. One of them is bent blades that makes the deck vibrate. Also, the bad belt. If you have a bad spot in your belt, like if you hit something in your yard and the mower deck stops, the engine keeps going, you can get a bad spot in your belt, and sometimes you cannot see it physically by the naked eye. So it's good. We're doing the idler arm kit. We're going to do the blades, which we already did, and then we're also going to replace this belt. And that kind of covers everything for a bad vibration, except for if you have a bent shaft. And if your blade shaft mandrels, if they're bent, got one on the side and one on this side, you definitely can spin them and check them to see if they're bent. Sometimes these pulleys actually will also bend and wobble. So it's a fine line, you know, on replacing everything and costing an arm and a leg. You can just replace this, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. But first thing we're going to do is take off this spring. I'm just going to use a hook tool right here to take the spring off. It does have a lot of spring tension, so you have to be careful. Now also, you see how it springs back, and it has about 2 inches from here to where it mounts. Very carefully, I'm going to try to overextend this just a little bit. Now that didn't extend too much. You got to be really careful. I would not want any of these to break, but if you overextend it, it may stretch it. And I'm going to do a little bit of work, possibly in a vise, and you just have to be careful. But I do think that there is just way too much pressure on this spring, and this is why this brake right here will wind up just really getting worn out. Now, I guess if you really wanted to, you could mount this spring a little bit closer. You could drill a hole and mount it like right there, and then it wouldn't be as much tension. That's not a bad way to go, but that is another option. So let's go ahead and take the spring off. Now the spring just sits on a collar right here, which is bolt. So this bolt has a collar. We're going to need to take this off and put it into the new brake. And the new brake has it right here. Doesn't look like it's threaded, but these should be, you should be able to just screw them in with a little bit of oil and mount them, but this is going to go onto our new bracket. Okay, at this point, this should be loose now. Now you can take off these guides and just to get the belt off. I'm going to go ahead and just leave that on for now. We may have to take this off. I'm going to go ahead and remove this pulley. Okay, so it's a 9/16 on top and a 9/16 wrench on the bottom. And as you can see how loose this is from a lot of vibration. That's all this is from. This is how you get so much wear and tear. So this mower deck was vibrating a lot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put all the tools at the end of this video that I used, but we're going to go ahead and use a 9/16 socket. I'm going to use my electric impact that I always use, and then I'm going to put a wrench underneath it. We have a cap on top. This is actually a dust cap. It's pretty important, and it does work nice. Slip that off. This is where you check your pulleys, make sure they don't have grinding noises, and make sure it's in good shape before you put it back on. Replace if necessary. Has a collar that goes underneath. Okay, at this point we need to remove this bolt, and you have to turn the deck up on its side to do this. So you have to be careful. You don't want to pinch your fingers, so just wear gloves if you need to, and just be careful. We're going to go ahead and tip this up. Okay, so we have a washer and a 9/16 nut right here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and use my impact gun on this side, and then on the other side we have the head of it right there should be 9/16. I'm going to hold that there. I'm going to go ahead and remove the nut on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and put this back down. Watch your fingers. This should just pull right up. And it does have, you can see how this is. There's a couple things we have to worry about. We have to make sure we put the bolt back in before we put it back together again. This bolt here for holds up either pulley. And then you have bolt with the washer and a spacer underneath. It looks like this spacer can go either way. We'll just clean it up a little bit, get the rust off of it. But the pivot point is this right here. And that's why they give us this spacer, because these spacers can wear, and actually this one did wear right in the groove right there. So it's good that the kit came with this. Now also you can see, oop, just lost our bolt. Right here, you have to kind of go underneath, and you can see right in here, and there should be a little divot or a little piece of metal sticking out of there. Yeah, it's right on the side there. And you have to spin the arm around until it comes off. There's a little, they just give you a little bit of an opening there, right there. It looks like it's oblonged. And on your brake itself, this is a brake rod. It actually has a little divot right here. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but right on this side, there's a little divot. And then you have to just, it's like a little puzzle. You spin it around until it fits in there. It just won't fit. You have to spin it. Let me just show you here. You have to spin it until it slides in the slot, and then you turn it this way and it's fine, but it won't come out. Spin it, pull it up, out of there. Okay, so now you can see how oblong this is. That's why it was so loose. And that was from vibration. Showed a new one, which is a nice round hole. And that one right there is not. So let's go take this up on a bench and we'll put the brake on. Okay, so here's the new brake, comes in the kit. And that's basically, you have 4 holes. We're going to take this one off to C, and this one actually has numbers on it. So there's obviously, it has to go in a certain hole for probably each different mower deck. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this bolt out first, since I have a little bit of leverage by holding on to this right here. And that is probably a 3/8 or 10 millimeter. Okay, so 3/8 works. It could be also a 10 millimeter. I'm going to go ahead and take that bolt off. This bolt here has the collar on it for our spring, so remember that. Now I'm going to go ahead and we'll reinsert this, because there's no threads in here, and these are self-tappers, so it'll be easier to do this while it's on here. These are right here, a 8 millimeter socket. Take these off. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the new brake on. Just make sure that you remember that we took them out of these 2 holes here. I'm going to use my electric ratchet. Make sure you tighten them, but don't over tighten them. Just make sure they're nice and tight. Now, this is the shoulder bolt we have to put in here. This is a self-tapper. Now we're just threading this down till it stops because it's just what's gonna hold the spring. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this back on the machine. I did clean up both sides of this. I'm gonna use the better of the two sides. This one was a little bit worn even when I cleaned it up. So we're just gonna go ahead and flip it because it's identical. And then this is gonna go here. Now, make sure you put it in the right hole, which is gonna be this one here. And then we're gonna just turn it around like so. And it goes like that. And we have our brand new spacer. Shoulder washer goes on top like so, like that. So you have to make sure you put your bolt in underneath, let that hang out like so. Then you put your smaller bolt down through the top, just like so, like that. Then we have to hold this all together on top, flip it up, then put your big washer on, put your locking, this is a locking nut. Okay, so I'm holding the other side with a wrench. Tighten that up as tight as you can. I also recommend, since putting this down on the ground a couple times, almost pinched my fingers, definitely use yourself a block of wood or something, and then you can just lay it on a block of wood so you don't pinch your fingers. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put this spring on. Just like so. Make sure it's operating correctly. But brakes are working, and you can check your other brake here. I normally don't see these wear out, and they do have a small spring inside here that makes them work. You can see how both sides work at the same time. When you engage your blade, it takes the brakes off, and when you disengage the blades, it engages them. We're gonna go ahead and put the pulley on now, and we're gonna put the, now this is where, instead of bending this is a 1/4 inch thick steel. You don't wanna bend this. You go ahead and put your belt on the pulley first. Then you put your pulley down like so. Don't forget your dust cap. Make sure it spins freely after you're done tightening it. Make sure you had it on right. And then I always go ahead and just engage and disengage just to make sure everything is working properly. So that pretty much sums up for how to put on a blade engagement bracket on a Craftsman T100. This may also work on many others, including the 46-inch mower deck. This is a 42-inch mower deck. I'm gonna go ahead right now and show you the tools that were needed today. Okay, so the tools we used, I used a 3/8 electric ratchet, a 1/4 inch electric ratchet, 9/16 wrench, a hook puller that I have here, ratchet, a little bit of lubricant for putting your putting your bolts back in your new bracket, 9/16 socket, 8mm socket, 3/8 socket, or 10mm. I'm also going to put a link in the description below, as I said, for this bracket kit. It worked out great for us. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.